About a year before I got out of the military, I figured out what a general made. That became how much money I wanted to make when I got out of the military. So I would go on these interviews, and when they asked me what I wanted to make, I would give them that general salary. And they would go, what? And I said, well, what would I need to make that amount of money? And they would tell me, and I would take the notes. And I wrote what I call a forward-looking resume. Then I put it in my cubicle. And so then I just worked really hard to make each one of those things true. I was building my own business as I was working for these guys. I remember going out of the building to go home, get in my car, and someone knocking on the window, and I never left the parking lot. I just turned the car on and fell asleep, and then go back upstairs and go to work.
So you believe having a work-life balance is a complete myth?
I think so, especially when you're starting. Oh, I want to have fun, I want to have the social life, I want to do all these things. Bro, you ain't got time for that. Go build something, create something. There'll be time for those things, and it won't be balanced then. You'll be on the other side of it. At the very end, they came up with some terms that I wasn't cool with. I was exhausted, and I gave them a big middle finger and said, I do not even care. By the time I got to the airport, my banker had called me and said, Eagle Flow, which is an old term that meant the money had come in, right?
So they just wrote the check and said, screw it. Yeah, whatever he said is what we're going to...
That's what it was. And I was sitting in the Uber and I was like, wow, it's over.
Welcome back to Wealth Made Simple, everybody. I'm excited to bring our guest onto the show, Todd Johnson, entrepreneur, car enthusiast, and somebody who I've been looking up to for quite a while now. Me and him got connected back in 2021. We jumped into some tax planning, but most importantly, we jumped into some wealth building strategies together. And I'm excited to bring Todd Johnson onto the show. Todd, welcome.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to see you, man.
It's great to see you.
You look amazing.
Thank you, man.
You look like you're about to, play NFL football right now. Look like you should be on the Super Bowl.
Hey.
I think the Patriots could have used you this past weekend.
That Super Bowl was pretty boring. I will say that, man. But I hear you throw pretty good
was.
Super Bowl parties. I'm going to have to attend the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, dude, I pride myself on keeping myself in shape.
Yeah,
like yourself as well, man.
Yeah.
You look great.
Thank you,
We're
brother.
happy to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to jump in with you because I've already interviewed you before, but, a lot of the world doesn't get to see you as much anymore. You kind of stopped doing content for a little bit, and now you're starting to jump back into content. And TJ, when we look at your life, man, you have what most people would view as the dream. You started out in an average job, then you created a tech company, grew it to multiple millions, and then you decided to sell it, move to Beverly Hills, and now you have a bunch of cars and a great lifestyle, at least from what it looks like on the outside looking in. So if you could tell us, throughout your journey, what was the biggest lesson that you learned that led to your success that you're sharing with people here today?
There's been a lot, right? But I think building skills has been really important for me.
Yeah.
Because, I went in the Air Force and I had I had to create opportunities, right? And the opportunities that I created for myself was to build skills. And if I could build skills, I would be valuable. And if I was valuable, I could build relationships. So that was sort of the key for me always. Build skills. Skills allow me to create better relationships, to help more people, and to provide more value. And with that, we progress.
Yeah. You said you went into the Air Force, is that correct?
Yeah.
At 17.
At 17.
When most people look at the Air Force or going into the Army, Navy, any one of these types of roles, it can almost feel like you're constricting yourself a little bit in the opportunities that you might be able to jump into. Can you talk to us about where you were at in life and why you chose to go to the Air Force versus, possibly going to college or going somewhere else?
Yeah. Well, I did both. So I went to the Air Force to go to college.
Okay.
Right. I remember I was thinking about going to college and figuring that out. And when I was in high school, I had a really bad accident in my junior year. Right. So I had a really bad head injury, and so I lost balance and had to go through a whole lot of stuff to try to figure it out, right? So I wasn't starting anymore in my last year, whereas I started before. And at my school, if you started, you were going to get some sort of scholarship. Really? Right? Yeah, and you're going to get some money to go to somewhere and play basketball, and at least that would get you through school. I had no visions of going off and becoming a pro or anything like that in terms of basketball, but I figured it would get me through college.
Yeah.
Right. And so when that became a challenge, I started visiting schools. And I remember going to like different schools, William and Mary. I remember going to Hampton University. And I went to Hampton University and from South Carolina and Columbia, South Carolina. I went to Hampton. I saw all of these beautiful women. I was like, it's just no way I'm going to make it through. There's no way I'm going to make it, right? Because it was different than where I was from, right?
Yeah.
You had this like, you're playing, you're trying to play basketball or something like that, and you have all of these women on campus. I figured, man, I'd end up like a young father and trying to get through school in college, driving a Volkswagen Bug. And, I was like, I didn't want that life. So I figured, let me go in the military, go away from where I was, because where I wasn't good. Wasn't a lot of opportunities in Columbia, specifically Casey, South Carolina. Yeah. Right. So I wanted to get away. And so the Air Force gave me an opportunity to get away. Right, and go to Europe, see some things, and learn a particular skill. And even though when I went in the military, I wasn't learning the skills that I really wanted. So I had to figure out how to get those skills. Yes, and that's what I learned in the military is how to go. I have this, like you said, an average job. Yeah, how to go from an average job, doing something like just really administrative. Mm-hmm. How do you convert that into skill? Yes. And what I did was I learned to do other people's work, right? I would go do other people's work, whereas other people were like, take the easy route. They do their work, they go home. Yeah. Bare minimum. Yes. And so for me, that didn't make sense. It was like, what are you doing over there? Let me learn how to do that. Let me learn how to do that. And with that, my boss would give me other opportunity. Well, come over here, young fella. Let me show you how to do this thing. And I would do those other things, and those things gave me skills, and I got more opportunity. Yeah. There again, skill builds relationship. Yes. Builds value. I get more opportunity. So
now, you said you started developing skills when you were in the Air Force. What were the skills that you were developing that led you to entrepreneurship?
So in the Air Force, when I went in the Air Force, I decided to go to school for computer science. Okay. Right. So I started studying computer science, and it was right at the time that the Air Force military had really old equipment, and they were doing things, man, this sounds really, really old.
Archaic.
Like, really archaic. So I developed a system that allowed me to take what they were doing on like key punch cards and stuff like that was already outdated, and download that data into the Sperry mainframe system, right? So I started to develop ways to make life easier for me, and hence making it easier for my squadron, right? And I got attention, and so people would always give me opportunity to innovate or do other things.
So you were just trying to get your job done faster. That led you to deciding to create is it a product or software that allowed this data to
No,
get
it was just an integration. I just did an integration. I developed a little integration that would allow me to take information that was on cards and put it onto disk. Yes. Right at the time, and move that into a mainframe. So for me, I was going to school for computer science. So I knew this was like, why are we doing it the old way? Mm-hmm. And we weren't doing that in the military. And the military at that time was really behind. Yeah. So I would do that, right? That was the start of me sort of trying to innovate and do different things.
So my question to you is when you started to create that first, essentially it's like a product. Yeah. Did that product then become owned by the Air Force? Did they take that? Yeah. Or did you own that IP and start selling it back to the Air Force?
No, I wish. It doesn't work that way in the military. First of all, in the military, I ended up going further, and I built a system for base supply system. Yes. While I was in the military, that allowed you to operate on what we called a grid computer, which was a laptop computer that was optimized for the field for going out in military events and things like that, right? So it was a really hardcore, durable laptop. So what I did is I took that laptop, right? And I created a program that would allow me to operate all of base supply system out of that laptop. So what would happen is when the systems would always go down, and I didn't like that because when the systems went down, you had to go to the warehouse, you had to look for stuff. It just wasn't optimal. It didn't make sense. So what I would do is I built a system that would every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes pull all this information, so it was always available. Really simple idea, but it was really powerful because we could get to stuff quickly. And I was on a ground launch cruise missile base, and it was a very important base, right? So we could get to information really quick. So because I did that, it was really cool, and I thought that the Air Force should use it across the entire military. But they wouldn't, because it didn't make sense for them to do it. I was really angry, right? Because I'm like, why won't you guys use this? This is stupid, right? I could do my job in 15 minutes. Every day I could do my job literally in 15 minutes, right? And then I built the system. But it led me to being able to build other things. But the reason why you couldn't do that is because the military is built for people to do their job. Just do your job, don't think, do your job. And if that happens, we're okay. But the problem is if you rely on one hero, one guy that has to be smart enough to fix the computer or do the stuff, and there's not been the systems to train them to do that one thing for that one system, then the system breaks. So the military is really designed because it's not about having fewer people or being efficient. It's about having people that will do the job and do exactly what they're supposed to do. That's why getting to a place on time is super important. That's why saying aye, sir, and doing exactly what you're told is really important. If you question that, then the system breaks. So the military has to have certain people and certain systems and certain operating procedures so it works. Right? And so what I did required more thinking and retooling things, so they couldn't use it. But at the time, I didn't realize that. I didn't understand it. Once I started building businesses, I realized, man, you can't rely on heroes. If you are relying on heroes, you are at risk because that hero can leave.
It can.
Right?
You're absolutely
that
right.
hero can hold you hostage. I want X. Right? Right. And
so technically, you were like a threat, essentially. Then to the Air Force, right? Because you are creating operational efficiency, obstructing their system. If they were to adopt it, you would be the person kind of at the helm of operating the system almost. Right?
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't say it as a threat. It would be risk that the military would be introducing because they would have to have someone like me around running those systems. And they would have to understand and have tested what happens if it goes bad. You know, what happens when it can't be fixed quickly. So it just didn't work from a military. It would have to be ready for operations in a military situation. There's a lot that would have had to happen. And so it was more of that than me being a threat. It was, the threat was, we don't have a lot of people training that does exactly what he does. Right. And we don't know how to make sure that we're going to be safe, you know, if something happens.
So Todd, you start feeling that you don't fit into this system. You created something that works. Now you want to give it to the world because here I'm not able to share it. You guys won't allow me to. This is when you started your business and you started creating additional products?
Well, I was still in the military, couldn't get out. Because when you sign up for the military, you can't just get out. You know, not easily anyway. You know, so the next system I built was local purchase system. So in the military, what happens is there's a process to buy things. Right. So no matter what it is, you got to buy. When you buy things, you have to have a contract vehicle. You have to have a procurement process. You have to get the money allocated. People have to have a way of receiving that money. All of that stuff has to happen. But there are certain things sometimes that has to be purchased quickly, right? Because it's important. You know, and there was really no mechanism to do that was really good, right? So at that time, I built this system that allowed us to. We started testing this credit card thing where we would get a credit card and you can go out and buy all of the stuff for the military, for the Air Force, right? to support local purchase stuff.
Right.
So we had to build rules, right? We had to build a system to track all the spending and the authorization and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I built that system when I was in the military. Using, I think it was like Clipper and DB4, like some old systems, right? Some old tools. So I built that because I was in school, I was learning all this stuff. And I thought, and I'm an entrepreneur, right? What does entrepreneurs do? What does the idea of entrepreneur means? It means that you solve problems.
That's right.
You see a problem, you solve a problem. But the bottom line is the reason why these opportunities existed for me is because I started doing more than I should have. And because I was doing more than I should have, I got different opportunities. I was in school and I was applying this computer science stuff that I was learning to my job, right? And which was a hard thing to do because my job had nothing to do with computer science, right? But I built relationships, people trusted me, and my idea was, let me make my boss look good. Mm-hmm. If I can make my boss look good, he's going to love me.
Yes.
He's going to take care of me, right? Now, in the military, that doesn't mean more money. Mm-hmm. That just meant more opportunities. That meant more ribbons and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
More awards. So, but my focus was on gaining the skills.
Yes.
Right. And so I gained a lot of skills, right? Skills that someone normally with that what we call AFC that I went in under, which is your job, right, would have gotten an opportunity to do. Yeah. So I built those relationships. I built these systems. Right. Yeah. And again, I could do my work in like 15 to 30 minutes a day. So therefore, I had a lot of time to go around and optimize those other things and do other things. And I was lucky in the bosses that I had that was like, hey, man, help me do this, or how about that? And I was also lucky in the assignment that I got after I left Belgium and went to Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And so, I got some good assignments, good opportunities. And I carry that forward with everything, right?
Yeah. So your ability to develop a skill allowed for you to solve a problem, which gave you more time, and then that more time allowed you to bounce kind of around a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And get more options to be able to do more things.
Yes.
When you had all of these different skills and you finally came out of the Air Force, how did you know how to start making money? What did you do first? So before I came out of the military, the one thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to make a lot of money, obviously, right? Yeah.
Right. So about a year before I got out of the military, I figured out what a general made.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
And a general is what in the military? Like
is the highest level that you can, highest rank.
Okay.
Like an admiral, a general.
Yes.
Right? Highest rank. And that's all public. So you can go see, what does a general make?
And how much did they make?
That's it. At that time, it wasn't a lot. It was, man, I'm dating myself if I told you what it was, but it wasn't a lot of money. But I remember, I said that became how much money I wanted to make when I got out of the military.
Okay.
Right? Which was like super unreasonable, right?
Yeah.
But being reasonable isn't how we get to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going on interviews. And I went on interviews before I needed a job because I couldn't even get the job if I had it, right?
Yeah.
Because I still had another year in the military. So I would go on these interviews, and when they asked me what I wanted to make, I would give them that general salary.
Wow.
And they would go, what?
Mm-hmm.
And they would always whisper and go, what are you talking about? You know? And then they would come back and they would tell me, how are you asking for that amount of money? And I said, well, what would I need to make that amount of money? What would I have had to say or show you or prove to you to make that amount of money?
Yes.
Right? And they would tell me, and I would take the notes. And I wrote what I call a forward-looking resume.
A forward-looking resume.
A forward-looking resume.
Okay.
And what that was an aspirational resume. Okay. I took my resume, right? And they said, you needed to understand, whatever the language was at the time, Cobalt or whatever it was, right? C++. And you need to have done financial systems, created a financial system in that, or you needed to be in the design process, or you needed to be this role. So I would write those things down on my resume as though I'd done it, but I would make it bold and italics, right? And then I put it in my cubicle, right? Yeah. And I saw it all the time, and I looked amazing on paper.
Right.
Because it wasn't true yet.
Right.
And so then I just worked really hard to make each one of those things true.
Okay.
Right? I would volunteer. I would do whatever I needed to do to make those things true or as close to true as possible.
Yes.
And modify my resume. But it was a motivator for me. And I called it my forward-looking resume. And I would put it in my cubicle and I would see it. I was like, yeah.
I love that.
And then I kept working. And then by the time I got out, I still didn't get the money I wanted exactly. Yeah. But within 2 years, I had doubled my pay. And then every year, every time I moved roles, I would always double my pay. I wouldn't move unless I could double.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you started working in these different jobs, trying to make more and more money, when did you realize that maybe working for somebody else isn't going to be enough for me and my lifestyle?
Yeah. Well, I knew that, as I was gaining experience and I was gaining experience in solving problems and things like that. But I was scared.
Yeah.
I didn't want to become I didn't want to go out there. I felt like I'd be ass out. I'm just out there and I'm an entrepreneur. I got a house at this time. I got cars. I was scared. And
TJ, scared to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I was scared.
Shocking.
Man. I was scared. But every year, at the end of the year, I'll go through this process where I'm like thinking about the year and, what could I have done better and all of those sorts of things. And I'll always feel burdened and sad. Like, man, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And so I took to the company I work for a plan that I could build a business unit, right? And I showed them how I could run that business unit and make money and do this thing. Yeah. And they said no, right? The company was INET at the time, called INET, and they ended up selling to like Wang or Xerox or some company that probably doesn't exist anymore. But they wouldn't do it. And so I started building my own business, right?
Yeah.
And this is something I really rarely share.
Yeah.
But I was building my own business as I was working for these guys, and I was falling asleep. I remember going out of the building to go home.
Yeah.
Right. Get in my car, and someone knocking on the window, and I never left the parking lot. I just turned the car on and fell asleep. Right. And then I would start and then go back upstairs and go to work.
Yeah.
Right. I had a sleeping bag in my office at one point. One time I went into my office on a Thursday, didn't leave until Sunday.
Yes.
Right. So I was working like a madman for someone else.
Yes.
Right. But I was also at some point, to your question, started building my own business.
Yes.
And they found out.
Uh-oh.
'Cause I left everything on a copy machine, right? I left all the stuff in there. Imagine you've built all your business and stuff, and you're
leaving the blueprint and all the paperwork out.
And you come in one day and you open this, and Leo's up there on, using your podcast.
Yeah.
Running his business.
What the hell is going on? It would be the first thing on my mind.
Right. So for me, this was the situation, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't the right thing for me to be doing, but I was trying to build my own business. And I got fired.
Uh-oh. No explaining yourself.
I got fired. Yeah, I got fired.
Okay.
No, I got fired, and that was the thing that was like, you know what, I gotta. And so when I got fired, I called my mentor at the time, guy named David Dan. I called him at the time, and I said, bro, I just got fired. What am I gonna do? And he said, what? He said, wait a minute. Then he put me on speakerphone, and he said, say again. I said, I got fired. And he laughed out loud.
Why did he laugh?
Because he said, this is great. You've been talking about starting your own business finally.
Yes.
Yeah. He said, this is what you're supposed to do. I'm glad. This is awesome, brother. And I was like sick because I was like, I have bills.
Yep.
Right? I have a house. I have a couple cars. And I'm like,
you were living in fear.
Yeah.
And
so
you were already
scared.
fearful to start a business. You said that at the end of the year, you would look down and you would look at all the things that you had accomplished. And there was always that one thing that you didn't do.
Yeah.
And you felt like you needed to do it.
Yeah.
As you started doing it, the issue is that you kind of got a little bit exhausted and fell asleep in the office and got exposed a little bit there. And then the real judgment came.
Yeah.
You got kicked out.
Yep.
And now you're on your own.
Yep.
For people who are working a job right now and they feel like they're sitting on an opportunity, kind of like you, where you started your business, what would you tell to that person who's thinking that they need to go start something but is operating out of fear?
Yeah. I mean, fear's a real thing, right? Fear's a real thing. But it doesn't mean you have to succumb to it, right? So it's one of those things where you have to have more conviction about what it is you're trying to do, what it is that you want to do, than you have fear, right? Because it's not that fear is going to go away. Right? You're going to have apprehension. You're going to be nervous. Now, you're not if you're living at home.
Yeah.
You don't have bills. You don't have kids. You don't have a wife.
A little different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's very different. I remember when I played golf, guys would be like, man, you know, that putt, that 4-foot putt. Yeah, man, you're nervous. I'm like, bro, I've had to make payroll all my life. What are you talking about? Nervous. I've had to win deals all my life. What are you talking about? Nervous over a 3-foot putt. That ain't going to happen, bro. That's not going to happen. There's no way I'm going to get nervous over a 3-foot putt when I've had to deal with all of these things, right? So again, in that golf situation, are you apprehensive or is there some, trepidation? Yes, but you still got to do it, right? And the conviction has to be that what I'm going towards is so worth it, right? The upside of what I'm going to do is far better than, me doing nothing, right? And so I think that's it. I mean, it's no magic bullet, but you just got to go out and you got to have the faith.
Yes.
You got to believe that what your vision is real and achievable. Yeah. And you got to make sure your commitment to doing that is more powerful than what your fear is, right? That's keeping you in this one place.
Do you think that it's better for let's just say a W-2 employee to start a business while they're still employed? Or you think it's more reckless for them to leave their job and to jump directly into entrepreneurship?
I mean, in an ideal situation, I think you keep your W-2 income and go figure out, build a bridge.
Yes.
Build a bridge. I mean, that makes more sense, right? In some cases, you don't have that option. Yeah. Right? In the case of me, I didn't have that option. Or I had an opportunity. If someone has an opportunity to be like, hey, look, I'm between things, this might be the time.
Absolutely.
That might be the time.
Yeah. When you officially transitioned to entrepreneurship, what was your first biggest challenge that you had to solve?
The biggest challenge is I got a customer. So that wasn't a big challenge for me. Yeah. Getting customers, because I always figured out how to provide value, right? If you have skills and you can provide value, finding a customer shouldn't be that hard, right? So my biggest challenge was, I got a customer, I'm doing the work. I remember I was doing work for a nonprofit. We were doing some tech stuff, developing stuff. It was just me. And after the tech stuff was done, I knew nothing about invoicing people. Right?
How do I get paid now?
It was getting paid. Yeah. I actually didn't get paid on that job because I waited, around, because now I'm trying to find another customer and I'm doing the work, and that's the stuff I know. Yes. I don't know how to do the invoicing. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know that that's what I need. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't do the invoice. By the time I do the invoice, it's too late. The guy that approved it is gone. Yeah. And so now I'm fighting to figure out how to get paid. Yeah. So my biggest piece was, when I think about systems, there's operations, there's delivery, there's sales and marketing. Yes. Right? Yes, sir. And so on the operations side, that's not anything that I like. It's not things that I wanted to do. I didn't want to think about it. So that was always a challenge for me, is in the early going, was making sure that I could do the paperwork to hire someone, do the stuff that I needed to be compliant, all that stuff. I had no idea how to do that stuff. Yeah. Didn't want to do it either. Yeah. So that was the hardest part.
One of the biggest problems in entrepreneurship is entrepreneurs overanalyze when it comes to getting clients. They'll write a 30-page document, create all these slideshows, and then get analysis paralysis when it actually comes to asking for money or to reaching out to get a client. You've been in entrepreneurship for quite some time. How did you find the transition to getting your first customer and then getting more customers?
Yeah. Well, the transition was a little hard, to be honest with you, because I always saw myself, always didn't like the idea of salespeople, right?
Really?
Sales. Yeah. So when I first started, it was like, can provide all this value. I'm smart. I can, know how to do this tech stuff. I can solve problems, right? So, and then the idea was, but you got to build a sales engine.
That's right.
Right. And doing a one-on-one, like, let me come up and write a system for you or solve a particular problem for you. Literally, I was going door to door, right?
So you were door knocking.
Yeah, I literally went door to door to tech companies to do integration work. So basically, at that time, there was a lot of people building computers and building systems, right?
Yes.
So those systems were cool as hardware, but what I wanted to do is to help them integrate and make these functional to do things to improve their businesses.
Yes.
So that was our idea, is let me go. So I went knocking door to door.
How did you get people to take you seriously?
I just went in and if you can answer questions and you can solve problems, because when you knock on the door and you ask for the right person, right? Mm-hmm. And here's what you're going to do. You say, hey, here's my value proposition. I just want to help you guys. Generally, I start with, I'm going to help you guys make more money. That's always got to be the value proposition from my perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a business, right? The business is interested in growing their bottom line.
Absolutely.
Right? So I went in with that, and then I would have a conversation about how they could partner with me for me to help them do that.
Yeah.
Right? So that was my focus. But then the harder part was building an engine where that happened automatically, right?
Yeah.
That always happened. And the tough part was for me to let go of the stuff that I was comfortable with, which was tech.
Yeah.
And start doing this other stuff that I wasn't comfortable with.
Sales and marketing.
Yeah. And so I think the hardest part was making, a mindset shift, because at first I thought salespeople were like, man, those guys are bad. Those guys, I'm thinking, used car salesman that's trying to sell a bad car.
Yeah.
They're hiding stuff. Don't want to tell you about the stuff that's bad. And you got that in your head, right? In terms of sales professionals. I have the cure for your business. And honestly, if you're serious about growing your business, we need to talk, or I need to help you. Just like what you do right now. It's like, you don't have to sell stuff. Dude, you're trying to save money on your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to make more money, right? You don't have to sell that. You're just saying, this is the issue. Let me explain that clearly.
Yeah.
Right? And you can do it with a great deal of confidence. You don't have to do it with trepidation, because you're not nervous about what you're saying, because you're not up there lying about it.
That's right.
You're up there saying, bro, here's how you can pay less taxes.
Yes.
You're paying too much taxes. I bet you.
Yes.
You're probably paying too much taxes if you haven't come into my system, right? If we haven't talked, if you haven't looked at these things. So when you're saying that, you're not having to be nervous about it.
Not at all.
Right?
Not selling at all.
Yeah. So there's a lot of confidence, right? There's a lot of relatability in that. And so people are going to go, oh, shoot, okay, cool.
Yes.
But you're not selling, but you sell all the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I didn't get that in the beginning. So that was the hard part for me.
Yeah.
How do I go from, hey, I can solve these problems, to becoming a salesperson?
Yeah, 100%. Because you had the skills in, computers and data and tech, but you didn't really have that skill yet in sales. So you were essentially walking in, knocking on doors and talking to people, but you didn't have a script. You're just talking what you actually know.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is the best script possible, right? Because after you do that over a couple of times, you realize, okay, this is how I need to approach people to then get to the meat and juice of what it is that I actually do, so they can see the value inside of that. So when did you go from just you, the solo entrepreneur, to then bringing on employees and building a team?
Well, when I didn't get paid, and I knew I could get business, right? And after I didn't get paid, I knew I needed to hire someone that could do that.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Okay.
So I knew I needed to hire someone. Even when I started, I didn't get paid at first, because I had to hire these people.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew I had to build a system, and I was committed to the vision. Right. So that was that. And then I also knew that I had to build a sales team. So those were the two people I hired.
Yeah.
In those two systems, operation system and then the sales guy.
What happened to your lifestyle at the time? Did you have to downgrade in order to reinvest into the company, knowing that you lost your W-2 job?
Yeah. I think at that time, it was, I had to downgrade on my credit for sure because I would pay my mortgage maybe twice a year. It was at that time, it was like, hey, man, I'm calling you about your mortgage. Yeah, okay, bro. Calling you about, how many days before you're going to come in and foreclose? Okay. Well, call me if 45 days, call me in 30 days, because I would have the money, but I couldn't afford to pay people because I couldn't afford to pay my mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Risk paying my mortgage because I had to pay people.
Yep.
Right. So I would rather
covering payroll.
Yeah. I would rather, you threaten to do that and I can pay at the last minute as opposed to putting people at risk.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to put people at risk. Because if you put people at risk and the money stops, then the business is dead.
Yeah.
Right. I've heard people have that situation where they couldn't pay someone. I don't even understand that situation because I don't understand how I could expect someone to work for me and I miss payroll by a day that can't happen.
Absolutely not.
Right. So, for me, did my lifestyle change for sure.
Yes.
Right. Socially, at this time in life, I think there's a time in life. Well, I think in general, balance is overrated, right? For most people running around trying to be balanced.
Yeah.
Right. I think you can get to a place and then balance can become more important.
Yeah.
Right.
So you believe having a work-life balance is a complete myth?
I think so. Especially when you're starting. I want to have fun. I want to have the social life. I want to do all these things, dating, bro, you ain't got time for that. Go build something, create something. There'll be time for those things, and it won't be balanced then.
Yeah.
You'll be on the other side of it, where you're out traveling, you're doing these things, and the amount of time that you have to put into your business is a lot less than most people have to put into business because you've created something that's more passive.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not going to be balanced then. Right. So balance to me is overrated. But people try to be balanced, starting businesses, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
People try to start new relationships as they're starting businesses. Romantic relationships, that's sort of hard too.
Yeah.
Right. Because for obvious reasons, I think that's really hard.
Yeah.
Because you're focused. You're birthing a baby.
That's right.
A brand new baby. And just like a baby and a mom, that baby depends on you, needs you for everything.
Everything. Right.
And when you're doing that, until that baby can walk and do some things on their own, that should be your focus. That has to be your focus. It's going to be your focus, whether you want it or not, if you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Right.
So you say starting a business is like birthing a baby. It takes all your time, effort, and attention. But while you were growing your business, you were also burning cash, knowing that you had just left your W-2 job and you could have barely afford your mortgage. When did you see the light at the end of the tunnel for a big break happening for you that you knew you weren't going to be operating like this anymore?
I think when I started my business, I had customers, right? But one thing that was different for me is I knew that I couldn't do that operation stuff. I knew I wasn't going to be invoicing and staying up at night trying to do that.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to do that. But I also knew and learned very early that when I was out getting customers, right, I wasn't actually doing the work. Nobody was doing the delivery.
Yes.
Right.
The fulfillment.
And I realized in the early part, my strength was in the fulfillment and the delivery stuff.
Right.
Right. So I had to then hire someone to do the sales.
Yes.
Right. And they did okay, but I quickly realized they weren't better than me at sales. So then I ended up building a delivery engine, right, and then going out and doing the sales.
Gotcha.
So, I was burning money to build the business, but I looked at that as an investment. All that money is going to that.
Absolutely.
I didn't need anything. What I needed to do is eat. I had a home already, right? I had a place to stay, and live. So, I had a car. I got rid of a car for sure.
Yeah.
But you downsize in terms of what you have to do. I remember I bought a Porsche at 18 years old, and I had that thing. I was really proud of it and stuff like that. And I had to go away at some point because I had to focus on building my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of cars sitting inside your driveway. I would imagine so.
A lot of cars.
So early on, founders tend to have themselves in every aspect of the business.
Yeah.
What was the part of the business that you immediately wanted to remove yourself from?
Operations.
Operations. And why did you want to remove yourself so fast?
It's tedious. It's not something I enjoyed. It's, for me, like little things like that take me a long time to do.
Yes.
Right. And it just doesn't match my skill set, my personality. And so I needed to give that to someone so that it was for sure going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I took myself out of that business, that part of the business immediately.
TJ, for people who are listening right now, what did you hold on to longer than you should have? That if you could look back at it now, you would have easily outsourced that sooner.
Tech, delivery, fulfillment. So again, in terms of businesses, there's operation, there's delivery, there's sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Right. The delivery or fulfillment, as you call it, right? That part of the business, I stayed in too long. And I wish I had moved out of that business earlier.
What caused you to want to expand beyond one business that was working well into other business ventures?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One, I built systems that work. And then I recruited people that were bought into the vision. They were working as hard on the business as I was. Mm-hmm. Hell, they at some point knew more about the particular areas of the business than I did, right? The amount of my time was freed up, right? I literally hired a president of my business and I moved to the Dominican Republic, and then I had more time, had a lot more time.
Wow.
And I did that because I wanted to sell the business and I didn't want to go with the acquisition, right? So at that point, I had the ability then to spend time and build another business, right?
Yes.
Focusing on those three systems, right?
Yes.
Sales, marketing, delivery, and focus on finding, the right people to push that business.
TJ, knowing that you've already sold a business, you know what it feels like to go through a transaction. Knowing what you know now, what is something that you would have done differently about selling your business that could have possibly led to a bigger multiple or led to a lifestyle change?
What would I have done? I would have sold the business earlier.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
I would have sold the business earlier for sure.
Why is that?
Because I spent a lot of time in the business. One, timing is everything in terms of when you sell your business, right? So timing is really important. I tried to sell the business earlier, but I had issues with like taxes and paperwork and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yes.
We had found some tax issues that we had to resolve. It took a long time to resolve those issues.
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, I went on to build other things, right? And, there's another business that I sold as well, but that was a construction business. But the point of it is I would have sold that business earlier. I would have been more focused on some of the other things that I was building.
Knowing that you went through that transition, you exited, you were in Dominican Republic, I would assume kind of living what most people would have as an early retirement after you had a big exit. What part of you felt like this wasn't the end of your story and you wanted to come back and start creating again?
And, I never thought it was the end, like that I wouldn't. I mean, I went over there, I bought a hotel, I started investing in things, I bought properties over there. It's just that the mistake was those businesses and the things that I was doing was me being an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, just doing things that, weren't scalable. Right. But it satisfied my entrepreneurial itch of, being in business and building something. Right.
And you're talking about after you had the exit?
No, before.
Yeah.
Yeah, before. But I built a lot of other businesses, right?
Yeah.
Even while I owned my tech business. Right. Not all of them went well.
Yeah.
I called one of them my $750,000 car wash, where I built, a car wash business in DC that was a mobile detailing thing and had a bunch of units and a kiosk and things like that.
Well,
right?
Those can cash flow when done correctly.
Yeah, they absolutely can. But timing is everything in business too, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And also having the right team is everything in business.
100%.
Right? And having those systems in place. So timing, systems, team. I think are really, really important
Yes.
in business. And I think when I started that business, right, we went through like the rainiest year ever, right? So it's a mobile detailing car wash business, and people in DC, yes, don't have the same relationship with cars as people in Southern California, as an example.
Yes.
Right, or even Florida, South Florida.
Yeah.
So I saw something I thought would work, that I saw that was working elsewhere. I thought, man, this will work in Washington, D.C. as well.
Yes.
And it would, and it does. But you know, I think it rained. I mean, I forget the year, man, but it was like the rainiest year ever.
That's so
you
tough.
know, so it was crazy.
For mobile car wash.
And then we had like, you know, some accidents and some things, you know, just a lot of things that happened that caused me to spend $750,000 for a business that ultimately didn't make money and failed. But I learned a lot, you know. The construction business, you know, that went really well until construction got really tough, and that wasn't my core business. So it was like, let me exit that. Yeah. So that went well. I actually forgot what your original question was, but for me, I think I would have gotten out of my my tech business. I think I could have built the construction business a lot more. Right? Yeah, could have built it, and also I think, like for instance, we went through a cycle in the tech business where things got really, really, really tough, right? And we had to fight through that and get back just to the same place that we were, as an example. Yeah. Right? So I could have sold it before that cycle. Yes. So there was a lot of reasons. And then also I got to a point where I wasn't really something I wanted to do anymore.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. It wasn't something you want to do anymore, because a lot of founders who go into entrepreneurship and sell their businesses, I read a study that 25% of them actually get depressed after they exited their companies. Some of them go down a slippery slope of drugs, alcohol, traveling, women, you name it, and they kind of lose their path. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about what happened for you after you sold your business. How did you find fulfillment and happiness? Or did you find yourself kind of slipping a little bit like some founders tend to after they've had a big exit and there's a bunch of money sitting in their bank account now? Yeah, you know, I've heard that. I don't relate to it that well, honestly, because for me, I know it's like birthing a baby. Now you're getting rid of that baby. Yeah. Right? But I never self-identified as the CEO of that company, and that was my identity. Interesting. Right? I built other businesses. By the time I sold that business, I already had another business that was paying me way more money, you know, was paying me more money and was worth more, right? So, you know, when we built the supplement business and weight loss business. Yes. So that business was, you know, already well established and doing really well. So, so I wasn't, you know, I had to do it again and again, right? Because, you know, I have big imposter syndrome. So because of that, it was like, yeah, you built this business, but, you know, can you do it again? Yeah. You know, so I had a little guy on my shoulder saying, can you do it again, bro? Yeah. You know, yeah, you did it. You got lucky. Yeah. Can you do it again? And we did something really amazing, you know, with the supplement business. And so, so I didn't have that slip. I didn't have that depression. I was sort of relieved because now I could focus on something else and don't have to worry about, well, your LinkedIn profile, what is it going to say? You know, it's like the guy that says, well, I have a supplement business, I have a tech business, I have a hotel, you know, like I didn't want to be that guy. Yeah. Right. So that eliminated one thing, you know, and then I could focus on the businesses that I had. Yeah. So for an entrepreneur who wants to sell their business, can you walk us through the process of what that looks like? Yeah, a lot of different ways. I think a lot of people are going to go find a broker, someone that's going to go out and act on their behalf, go out and find buyers and qualify the buyers and all that sort of thing, package your deal up, and then help you sell the business. In my case, I had a lot of people already coming, trying to sell the business or trying to buy the business from us because of awards that we had earned and because of the visibility of the business and that kind of thing and the space that we were in. I always had people asking to buy the business, right? But once you decide you're going to sell the business, you know, there's obviously all the financial stuff and all the record keeping and all that stuff have to be clean. And you know, so you have to get all that stuff in order and make sure it's like, it's an asset
that someone can understand if this business is likely to continue creating the type of money that it creates, and who are the key people in that business that it needs to continue to create that ARR.
Absolutely. As a founder, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, we get into business to solve a problem, sometimes not really thinking about the end in mind, and we allow the business to become a part of us. And I know from my own experience how it can feel kind of hard to let something go. When you think about business now, are you always thinking with the end in mind? How can I get out? What's my exit strategy? Or do you feel like entrepreneurs should still focus on building businesses without necessarily needing to exit them?
Yeah, I think I don't think there's a wrong answer with regard to that. When I get into businesses, I am thinking about how I'm going to exit, right? And how much energy is it going to need for me, right? That's my interest, right? Can I provide value to this business? In what ways? What energy, effort is it going to take from me? And then what does an exit look like, right?
Yeah.
Even in the new business that we built, the new tech business that I started last year, which is super exciting, right?
Yeah.
Hope we get to talk about that. But yes, of course, I'm thinking about the exit, right? But by the same token, I can't overly focus on the exit or what that's going to be. I have to build a strategy and a plan for what that might look like. But right now, I have to focus on the basics: acquiring customers, serving customers, right? Retaining subscription revenue, those sorts of things, right? Solving problems.
Yes.
Meeting the promise that we said we were going to solve.
Yes.
Solving the problem that we said we were going to solve. So I think that's what I have to focus on now, because if I don't do those things, then exit doesn't ever happen. It doesn't matter. You don't even get there. So that's why I say, yeah, you got to kind of do both. Yeah, you got to have an idea of, hey, what are you looking for?
Yes.
Right. And at this point, I know the kind of money that starts to make sense to exit. I think a lot of people don't have that in their head. Like, what type of money would it take for me to exit this business?
Yes.
I have a lot of friends right now in Washington, D.C., or in that area, that have really good businesses, right? And they make a certain amount of money, but I don't think they have in mind what it's going to take to exit, because they are also fearful. Because this makes money, and it makes money on a recurring basis.
Right.
So if somebody gives them a lump sum,
they lose their cash flow.
Right. So now they have to go build something else unless this...
To replace the cash flow.
Right.
Or else you're living off of savings,
You're
which
living
is fearful.
off of, yes. And so if you don't have an idea of what's next, right? Or if you're saying, I don't want anything to be next, I want this to be it, then that's great. But, those are the sort of things that you have to figure out, negotiate.
TJ, you built an 8-figure tech company and you sold for multiple 8 figures before OpenAI or us even really having access to a ChatGPT ever existed. And now you're building a new tech company. So what problems are you trying to solve now that you have access to AI?
Well, and the funny thing is the problem, okay, so two separate things, right? AI helps me do things faster,
yes,
hopefully cheaper, and hopefully better, right?
Yeah.
So, but the problem I'm trying to solve right now is one in personal development around accountability. We make big promises to ourselves, but we rarely keep them, right? And so that's the problem that we're attacking, is accountability at scale. So coaches, and we're focused right now on the weight loss space and fitness space.
Yes.
So in that particular space, people every year, the number one New Year's resolution is,
I want to lose more weight.
I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get in shape.
I want to get in shape.
Right? And so the issue is, though, people get gym memberships and the problem is solved, or they sign up for something, or maybe they don't even do that. But the bottom line is they don't fulfill that dream or that goal.
Right.
And next year that becomes the same,
Story.
New Year's resolution.
Yes.
And then it gets so bad sometimes that people stop making the resolution, which is scary, because that means they've kind of lost hope. I'd rather someone still making a resolution and not doing it than someone saying,
what's the point in
what's the point of making a resolution?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to make a resolution. Bro, no. You're losing hope.
Yes.
Right? Make the resolution every year, make it every month, make it every week.
Yeah.
You know, this week is going to be better than last week. Today is going to be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, you know? So for us, it's accountability. So what we're looking to do is extend coaches that are helping people in fitness and weight loss to stay on track with their program. So there's not an issue with how to do something, what to do. People know what to do, how to do it. But people need someone tapping them on the shoulder and saying, hey, are you eating the right things?
Mm-hmm.
You know, did you work out this morning? Are you going to work out in the morning? Are your clothes prepared? You know, did you set the alarm? So we're doing things to help make sure there's an accountability partner with them to push them along so that they can do the things that they've already promised to themselves they're going to do. So it's almost like having, it's almost like having a special, you don't need it, bro.
I need someone just holding me accountable to every little thing like that. I love that.
Yeah.
I guess my personal assistant does a great job with that.
Yeah. You know, but the elite, the people that like you like you said, you in the morning, you know, how many coaches do you have?
2 to 3. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's true.
I already know you have at least 3.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
You have at least 3 coaches.
Yeah. I have a Pilates coach, a fitness coach, and a Muay Thai coach.
Right.
Yeah.
You probably have mentors that help in certain areas.
Yeah. I have 3 full-time mentor coaches.
Right. You have these things. So to be excellent, by the time you got here, you already had the mindset and the attitude to get to a place where you can start making the money.
Yes.
To get to an elite level. Right. And to stay there and go to even another level, you have all of this. Most people can't afford that.
No, they cannot.
Only the elite can afford that kind of thing, whether it's elite athlete, you know, celebrity, you know, multimillionaire can afford that kind of thing. So what we were doing is saying, hey, look, how about if you had that you can put in your pocket and you can pay a subscription service fee of whatever, and you get to talk to your coach in your voice and your personality. So in Karlton's voice and Karlton's personality, he's calling you, hey, Todd, what you doing? Did you study that document that we talked about?
Wow.
Did you do the homework? Right?
Yes.
Well, what caused you not to do the homework? What caused you not to do what you said you were going to do? And then to help you solve that one problem that's plaguing that person so they can keep moving forward. So that's what the program is about, is we codify a coach's voice, their personality, and their program.
Got it.
And then we come in and help them move forward on whatever it is their goal is.
Right? I was just about to ask because, at scale, if I have 100 coaching clients, that's 100 phone calls in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, very unscalable. But if you get my voice recorded, it sounds like me and I can communicate with somebody. Mm-hmm. I just need that check-in call. I just need to hear his voice.
That's it. And
I know I'm going in the right direction.
That's it.
That's so powerful.
That's it. And then the other idea is, let's say, people really want help, right? They just need guidance. When you think about all the guys that go in the military. They all go in the military, right? They're all fresh and green.
Yeah.
They're willing to comply, but they're not going to automatically comply with everything. They need a push.
Yes.
They need a push. They need a pull, right? And so they get that until they get to a point where they're made rank.
Yeah.
That's right. They're self-governed. They've made rank. They've done this. They've done that. Now they can govern themselves and teach others, right? So in our system, the idea is, hey, let's help push people along until they can self-govern.
Yes.
Right? And when they can't, let's figure out how to solve the problem because they committed to it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought your program.
Right.
Right. So that's what I'm really excited about because now we can scale that. So now we're at releasing this product that we worked on for so long called Yo Body on the now the system that powers it is AI, but the focus is not on AI.
Yeah.
The focus is on solving this problem that we just discussed. Right now, what does AI do? AI allows me to understand who you are from a personality standpoint, to be able to codify your voice. How do I know who you are from a personality standpoint? One, I know you, right?
Yeah.
But the point is you have tons of content out there.
Thousands and thousands
in
and thousands
terms of
pieces.
What you think is humorous, how you're going to motivate someone, how you're going to talk to someone, how you're going to respond to questions. So AI allows me to codify that into a Karlton bot, if you will.
Yes.
Right. And now with that Karlton bot, right? Instead of people paying the gazillion dollars a month that it costs to work with you, they might be able to pay something else because you've been able to scale it massively.
Right.
So that's one of the things that AI, bridges the gap at. Yeah.
What is your thoughts on some of the things that you've been seeing around Moltbot or Claudebot? What's your opinion on that?
Scary, good stuff, but scary. I mean, right now we're in a place where it's really hard to grasp the idea of AI having Substacks or Reddit channels that it's only them talking, right? So to be able to now give access to something that has so much agency, to be able to say, we're going to create on our own, nobody told them to do this, a conversation that we don't want humans in, right? And the conversation is in English or whatever the language is it is that's readable by us. It doesn't have to be. It could be a machine language. They can understand it. We can't understand the shit though, right? So that's scary. So things are moving so fast. When you start talking about having something that can then do all of the things that that these products can do, it's exciting that it can do that, but it's also obviously scary because where are the limitations? How do you control the limitations? The security stuff, it's moving faster than we can solve the security issues.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on that.
What was the most stressful or uncertain point during the process of selling your business?
Oh man, that's funny. Because so the process of selling a business is extremely stressful. Extremely. By far the most stressful thing I've endured on a business side, right? Okay. And there's been a lot of stressful things on the business side. But I think one of the things that happens in business when you're selling is that there's this idea of an amount of money that you're going to make in a time frame. And that becomes this carrot, right? And someone can then go get close to that and go, yeah, but this, and then start to push those things away. Because when you get that time frame and you get that number, the one thing that you're going to do is start planning. You're going to start planning. I'm going to be out of here by this time, or I have this amount of money, or whatever it is, right? And I think one of the things that happened with me is that at the very end, it became stressful with all the people involved and relationships changed, right?
Yeah.
And so that was tough.
Did people feel entitled to a part of this exit?
Everybody has a different perspective, right? Because what happens is, for me, I walked away from the business 8 years or so before I sold, meaning I hadn't hired someone, right? Interviewed someone for 8 years, except for people that were working in sort of the executive suite.
Got you.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody else you guys hire.
Yes.
Long as it works within this business model.
Right.
And then customers. I didn't go to a customer, right? I hadn't gone to a customer for at least 8 years, right? Wow. So I had moved, right? And I was dead set on not going with this transaction. No matter who bought it, I didn't want to be around afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I was done with the business. But I had already built another business.
Right.
Right? That was doing quite well and was, printing money, which was really cool. But at the very end, they came up with some terms that I wasn't cool with. And it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And, I gave them, I was exhausted. And I gave them a big middle finger and said, I do not even care. Right? I'm done.
Yeah.
Right. So I was done with the business.
The deal?
Well, I thought so because I was done. I remember getting in an Uber and I'm leaving, and I'm done and I'm not even taking any more calls. Right. And I wouldn't take any more calls and I hadn't signed any paperwork. I was done with these last terms. And by the time I got to the airport, my banker had called me and said, Eagle Flow, which is an old term that meant the money had come in, right?
Wow.
So the money.
So they just wrote the check and said, "Screw it."
Yeah.
Whatever he said is what we're gonna.
That's what it was. And at that time, I think I was in the Uber, and I was sitting in the Uber, and I was like, "Wow, it's over, it's done." And bro, I honestly, I respected the people back in that business and stuff like that, but I never said bye. It was over. It was just done.
But when you think about it, Todd, you had been disconnected from that business for over 8 years. You had a C-suite team that was operating it. Those are probably the only people that you really had relationships with. A bunch of employees that were doing things that, you weren't in control of anymore. So you had already started pouring your time, effort, and energy into other projects that you felt like were passion projects of yours as well at the exact same time. So do you still really feel bad that you didn't say goodbye to people? Or is that just something that
I don't. No, it's not that. It was the right thing to do because it was like, hey, look, because to a lot of guys on the team at that point, they probably thought, again, I was already, had already faded to black, if you will, so it was the right thing to do. But my point is, it's like, by that time I was like, don't need a ceremony, don't need this, don't need that, just, here it all is,
Yeah.
Let me sign all that stuff that gives you all the things that you guys need to do your thing. And it was cool. And
for someone who has sold businesses and has been able to buy things, travel, enjoy life, where do you feel like you get your most sense of fulfillment at today?
Building businesses.
Is it buying another Ferrari? Is it going down, Sunset Boulevard with the top down and one different skittle of the color cars that you might have?
Yeah.
Or is it doing something like building a business and that gives you your most fulfillment?
Yeah. I think seeing people grow. So one of the things I really like about building businesses is that, and one of the keys I think to building a substantial business is, always, you got to have those systems in place that I always talk about.
Yeah.
The operations, sales, and marketing, right? Operations, delivery, sales, and marketing. You got to have those in place. And then the other thing is you have to have the right people in place, right? And so when you get 7 people in place that's sold out for your business, sold out for your vision, and you have them aligned in terms of the opportunity that exists for them, the kind of money that they can make, right? The fulfillment that they get by pushing your vision.
Yes.
They own your vision, then the amount of growth, the possibility is crazy.
Yes.
7 people, properly aligned, good people, competent people, capable people, aligned to your vision is powerful. So for me, right now, that's what I'm on.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a young guy on the team, and I'm seeing him grow. I'm seeing him do his thing. And that is fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right. To see that. And, I know he gets it. And as I find other people, that get it as an example, that's fulfilling for me. My assistant and to see what she's doing in her life in terms of building the life that she wants and buying homes and, that kind of stuff. I think that's really cool. So that's where fulfillment is. I think when you start talking about the tokens and things like that, like cars, right?
Yeah.
I just got to, unveil this $2 million car, right?
What kind of Ferrari was it?
It was the SF90XX.
Oh, rare.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's such a, now I bought some other cars. I didn't do reveals and stuff. And on this one, I was like, you know what? I really enjoy cars.
You do?
I always have. That's always been my thing. Obviously I've raced and done all the stuff. Enjoy cars. And I've sort of muted myself in a bit, right? As you mentioned, I haven't been doing content.
Yeah.
Because in some ways I felt like it was showing off. Mm. And I realized, and I've always known this, how important inspiration is.
Yes.
Right? And without inspiration, we do nothing.
Yep.
Yep. Without inspiration, nothing happens. So someone has to first be inspired. Cars have always inspired me. And so sharing the story and the work that taken to get that car, even in buying this car and doing this and putting up with the crazy relationship stuff that you have to put up with. It's worth it. It's worthwhile. And I wanted to share it and I wanted to celebrate it and not take it for granted, because though I have a bunch of cars, it's easy to start taking things for granted. And I think that's silly.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to take it for granted. I wanted to celebrate with people and share it with people that in some cases, they don't even know what this car is or what it's about and that kind of thing. And other people get it, you know, and so that was fun. It was fun to celebrate. So those are the tokens. Those are cool. But one of the things, the other thing that really brings me a lot of fulfillment is that I just found a pool of resources that are amazing in Africa. And I am so excited about building the team of people there, right? Because the amount of talent, how humble these people are, how educated they are, how hungry they are is amazing. Yeah. And to be able to build a team there and to make a difference there by giving people jobs and stuff like that. Someone, a friend of mine, other day was talking about this one person I hired. Yeah. And they said, man, you've changed her life because of, you know, what we're paying her. I don't think it's that much, you know? Yeah. It's not that much. But for her and where she's at, that makes a huge difference. So that's rewarding. And so I'm looking forward to, you know, upcoming months as I expand that team and do all that stuff. So that's pretty cool.
You said that there's 7 people that you need to have on your team to go grow a business and take it to the moon. 7 people that share in your vision and can go die hard. But when you're building a business that you plan on exiting, is a part of the strategy to let the team go with the exit? Or is it part of the strategy to rise your team up and be a part of the next project that you decide to go and build?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you can, you know, it's great if they can come with you on your next project. But in some cases, they're going to go with this, you know, they're going to stay with the company and continue building because they also believe in the vision. It's the vision, you know. It's not necessarily just you. Correct. It's the vision. It's and they're tied to the vision. And by that time, their ownership in the vision is as great as yours is. Yeah. You know? So in some cases, some folks are gonna go on with the exit. Some folks are gonna get the things that they need and get to a particular place and say, this has been a great ride. Now it's time for me to go do something else. Right. So it's not necessarily that they're gonna come in and stay the entire time. You hope that, you want that. Because when you exit and you know, make some money, right? You're wanting other people obviously to make money and get the same opportunity, the opportunities that they're looking for. Yeah. So it's not linear in terms of the way it works, but I know that number of people completely sold out for what you're doing is magical.
A lot of entrepreneurs assume that once a business starts operating, that they should go and start a new one. What advice do you have to someone that is trying to decide to double down on their current business or think about wanting to approach a new opportunity? Yeah,
I think most entrepreneurs start a new business too soon, right? And I hate to keep repeating this, man, but you got to have those 3 systems in place and they have to be engines. Yeah. Right? Sales, delivery, operations. Those have to be engines. Yes. They run without you. And then you have to have the people. Maybe you've not gotten to 7, but you have the people that can propel that business forward, right? And if you have that, then it should mean that you have some free time and you are the chief visionary. So therefore, go start that thing. But most people don't do that. Most people aren't at substantial revenue in what they're doing. They don't have the engines in place, the systems in place, the procedures in place to be able to run that business before starting their new venture. Yeah. And so they're just split. You know, it's like, you know, splitting 2 dimes. You know what I mean? You're splitting 2 dimes. So you got nickels. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not You're not splitting a stack. You know what I mean? So that's the problem, I think, with most entrepreneurs is that they start the other business too soon.
Yeah. When it comes to inspiration, a lot of people, get inspired by, some of the content that I post with some of my cars, some of my watches. I try not to show off, right? Like you said, I feel weird almost, showing things in my life that I've earned and have been blessed with. But inspiration is where everything begins. I wouldn't have even gotten to this place that I'm at, even want the things that I want, if I was not inspired or saw someone else do those things. Knowing that you've kind of stepped away a little bit from cameras and the content that you've created, what are some of the things that you're looking to bring back in order to inspire the young generation, knowing that you have a superpower when it comes to how you explain things?
Yeah, appreciate that, man. One, I think I'm embracing the whole idea of what value I can bring, right? From a standpoint of on the inspiration side, right? So I think it's me being me,
Yes,
just
100%.
me just being me. I think there's some things that I love to be able to help people achieve their goals. So that's why this new company is so important to me in terms of Your Body and scaling it across, not getting out of just the personal fitness and weight loss and going into coaching.
Yes.
Love to work with you on your program to be able to scale it from an accountability standpoint. Because again, it's not replacing what you do, it's extending what you already teach.
100%.
So how do we do that, right? So for me, I think getting back and sort of helping people, right, achieve their goals. They make big promises to themselves. And I think that's what inspiration does.
Yes.
Inspiration. Damn, I want to live here one day. I want to do this. I want to have that, right? Make the big promises, but then helping them keep the promise to themselves.
Yes.
So that's what this business is about, this new business is about, and this new technology is about. And, building a team, that I can scale things quicker. So that's sort of where I'm focused. The other thing that I would love to be able to do is I started something called the Dreamer Series on my on YouTube, and I'd only shot a couple of them, but they were really expensive to shoot. It was like me finding people and giving money to people that needed money, right? And what I like to do going forward is to do something similar, but finding younger folks that need scholarship money, right? And to highlight their story so that other people can help them get money, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the directions that I'm going in. So I'll be building that out this year as well. So that's sort of where I'm at, man. It's just trying to be more me and being more intentional about the content that I create and the impact that I can make.
Yeah.
In a real way.
Knowing you've been a mentor to so many people, when you think about it, a lot of our mentors have mentors that they modeled after. Who inspires you today? What inspires you to get out of bed and say, I want to go create another business when I've already sold and found success?
I don't know. I think that's in me, like in terms of, to continue to build, right? But someone recently inspired me a lot. And I talk about this dude all the time now. I've known him, right? So I met this cat, and some years ago, I met him at Pebble Beach, right? Around cars.
Oh, not golfing.
Right.
Interesting.
No, it was around cars.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And met him in Pebble Beach doing Pebble Car Week.
Okay.
And at that time, I owned one Ferrari, and I wanted more. And but Ferrari is tough because you just can't go up and buy the cars that you want. So he told me, be patient, do this, do that. He kind of told me how to navigate. And now, I have a couple Ferraris that are worth $2 million and other stuff. Now there's Ferraris that are worth way more, right? But he helped me navigate the thing. And we've had this loose relationship where I would see him at different things, see him, how you doing? Well, he recently bought a $38.5 million car, right?
Sorry?
He bought a car for $38.5 million.
Okay.
Right? Exactly. And so when he bought the car, I was like, quick. Now, here's the thing. Prior to him buying the $38.5 million car, I had been to Pebble Beach. I saw the car that they campaigned some years ago that sold for $70 million, right?
Nice.
Same model,
Wow.
right? And then I knew of that same model car selling for 50-something million, right? So I know that this happens, right? But here's the thing. I know David Lee, who he is. I have his number on my phone. He's a nice guy. Again, he's not my close friend or anything like that, but he's a guy that's, provided some counsel for here's how you navigate the relationship and things that you do and about car collecting and stuff like that. And just a good guy. And I'm in his, he has a Christian community, a faith community, and I'm in that and just WhatsApp group and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So I see him, but he bought this $38.5 million car. And it wasn't until then that I thought, damn, that's possible. I never even thought about buying a $38.5 million car, right? And the fact that I didn't think about it, I was like, damn, why wouldn't I think this is possible?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I think this was possible?
Yeah.
And then it was like, wait a minute, buying a $38.5 million car is possible, it's plausible. Now, it wasn't because the car has already been sold for $70 million and one was sold for 50-something million.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until somebody that I could reach out and touch
That it felt real.
that I could relate to, it made it feel real.
Yeah.
It made it feel like, damn.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That was
at
kind of
that-
like me showing up to your house for the first time and walking through. And I'm like, wow, I'm touching $1 million cars. And it's more than one.
Yeah.
There's like 9 of them here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got to see what was possible. I didn't know someone can physically own $1 million worth of cars and have tons of them everywhere.
Yeah.
And be in a multi-million-dollar house at the
Yeah.
exact same time.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was possible.
Right. And
Right.
so that's what the inspiration does. And that was like something that really, hit home
Yes.
with me because it's like, and I'm not going out, buy a $38.5 million car, but I never even, a plane, you think, what I mean?
100%.
And even still, you're like,
It costs more than a plane.
that's a lot of money. You know what I mean? But the point is that this guy that I have a loose connection to, can talk to or text or whatever, can buy a $38.5 million car, thought to do it. That just is mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it made me I'm really proud of the dude and happy for the dude and he's a good guy, right? So, but the amount of hope that it gives others, right?
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that's cool. So you can't unsee that. You can't unhear it.
No.
You can't unexperience it. So,
What
so
kind
when
of car,
you
if you don't
ask
mind
me,
me asking? Is it
yeah,
a Bugatti or
it's a Ferrari.
it's a Ferrari
Yeah,
that's
Ferrari.
$38.5 million. Right.
Yeah, it's a Ferrari.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, that same car is also sold for,
50 and 70 million.
yeah. And I didn't have that. I was like, wow, that's $70 million. Wow, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
great. That's the Mona Lisa of cars, great. But it didn't connect to me until he did it.
Uh-huh.
Right. And again, no envy, none of that. It's just like, wow, it's possible.
Yeah.
Right. So let me go work a little bit harder.
There's
Let me go
just
do some
another
stuff.
level.
Yeah, it is. It's another level. So I think it's important for people to experience things that can relate to me and see, oh, this guy just unveiled a $2 million car. Sounds so petty right now, like $2 million.
You're sitting there how do I add 2 zeros to the end? And updo my guy at next Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up in a $200 million car.
Yeah. And honestly, it's not even like outdoor. It's just
It's inspiring.
It's just how inspiration works, and it's just how mentorship works. It's
Exactly.
just how these things work, and it's like, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It is awesome.
It's awesome. And then you look at it and you go, wait, not only did he buy a $38.5 million car, this dude is also giving a lot of money to help people.
Yes.
This guy's also running a substantial Christian community around cars.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And he has these businesses and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, and he's cool. And so, as opposed to not being and, not being as humble and cool as he is, So that, so you asked me about inspiration.
Inspiration shows up in so many different ways too, right? We're talking about cars right now, but I joined this group called Zenith, and it's a private mastermind, so I can hang out with like Dean Graciosi and Tony Robbins and all these other people that decided to join this mentorship group, and it's very expensive, like multiple six figures just to be in this group a year. You rub shoulders with Tony frequently, but everybody in this group has multiple companies. When I showed up into the group, I really only had one company. But since then, I've created 5 different companies that all assist in what I'm currently doing, all in the financial services space. And I got inspired because I realized, dude, I have skills that can go across more than one vertical, right? Similar to 3 years ago when I was sitting in your driveway, I thought, wow, when you get successful, you buy one sports car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my bank. No, seriously, I literally bought a second sports car a year later, right? Fast forward to today, I don't know where we're at on the cars that I have, but it was inspiring to be able to see that. Inspiration shows up in your life and manifests itself in so many different ways. And I think it's just about getting outside of your comfort zone, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah, I love that. So what's been the biggest thing other than that you've learned from being in this group?
Being in that group taught me how to incorporate AI at a very fast speed. When it comes to AI, I was thinking, well, just like everybody else, this is just going to be something that we just eventually get told to use it and hopefully it doesn't replace us. No, it's about who is integrating AI the best and the fastest. And I didn't really have a plan on how to integrate AI. But what we did is we spent a day breaking down areas in our business that we wish could be replaced with AI or could improve an operational flow. 6 months later, I was able to build a AI workflow that solves a problem inside of my business that is literally speeding up production by, I would say, anywhere from 10 to 20%. Has a lot to do with how we communicate. We communicate inside a Slack channel. So we build an AI bot that's attached to a knowledge base that will communicate inside a Slack channel. When it comes to setting up LLCs, we like to create a structure so a customer can see how many of their entities are owned by their trust and all of that. I have AI create all of that now, and it took time to be able to build that out. But if I had not joined that group and spent time focusing on it, I wouldn't have known that I needed to solve that problem.
Yeah, got it. That's cool. One of the things that that we built, well, a number of things, but one of the things that we built in terms of workflow is all of the transcription stuff.
Yes.
That you do. So every meeting I go on, right, it, of course, transcribes it. But what it does is it figures out the action items. Figured out what was implied.
Yes.
This, what was the explicit decision and then implied ones.
Okay.
Right. And then it puts it all in Monday, right, and gets assigned. And then my assistant goes in and figures out, here's all the stuff, because there's a lot of leakage when you have a meeting.
Yes, there is.
Right. So how are you going to make sure all of these things, there's a follow through on all of these things? Well, they all go in my Monday, right? And then she looks at it and says, okay, are these priorities still this important?
Yes.
Who am I going to get it to?
Yes.
Right. And so she helps to navigate that. But, I don't have to do any of that now, right?
No.
It just all happens through that workflow process that we built with AI. So
I love that.
I get it.
There's so many different workflows that you and I could probably work on together. We're working on a workflow right now, similar to what you just said, that will take like a transcription. And instead of, just, for example, putting into a program like Monday.com or to ClickUp or the Notion board, what it essentially does is it extracts the strategies that a customer is executing on and puts it onto essentially like a progress report. And it notifies the customer directly after the meeting whether or not they've already completed that strategy or if that strategy is still pending. So as a part of the conversation, we just need to make sure we communicate a certain couple of items on each and every call in order for the AI to pick up that information and to populate it to a document that shows a customer in real time, here's what's left to go and do, and here's how much you've already essentially saved. So it's like a living, breathing progress report that gets attached to meetings, and we're just extracting that out. So something we're working on right there, but I'm not the tech guy, I'm the numbers guy, I'm the math guy. So,
but you're the process guy, the process.
I am. Yeah, I love process.
The process and the business and the business workflow stuff is important.
Is what I care about.
Yeah.
TJ, so One thing that me and you are super passionate about is being competitive and talking about it. I've talked a pretty big game when it comes to my golf, whether I'm good at it or not. I've talked myself up. And you came in here. This is my studio, by the way.
Yeah.
You told me you would whoop my ass in a golf game. You said, matter of fact, I'm a scratch golfer, Karlton. If you're a 13 plus handicap, I would dust you. And then I went on to ask you.
I said 8 strokes. I said, you have to be 8 strokes. So that doesn't equate. Now you're the math guy, so that does not equate to scratch.
I went on to ask you if you had a pair of golf clubs. You said you hadn't swung one in 20 years and you don't need them in order to beat me. Do you see where we're at in the,
are you finding this
in the interview? We're a little bit, we're at this juncture in the interview where the viewers would like to know, when is the golf game? What's the bet?
Well, Karlton, you think it would be worthwhile betting, on something like this?
100%. 100%. And we're going to come back on here.
Karlton, you're not even a single digit handicap golfer.
By the time we go and play, I will make sure I am. I'll make sure I am. Just give me 30 days. Give me 30 days. How about this? My birthday is June 8th. Let's get that golf game done before my birthday.
Yeah.
And we'll report back and do another podcast. And here's what I love. I would love it if, as a part of this bet, since I know you have quite a bit of cars, there's one that's sitting in your driveway right now. I believe it's the 812. We'll throw it up on the screen so everybody can see it. It's a beautiful car. I remember getting into it and the sound of it. We'll run the clip. I would love to borrow that car, just for a weekend. I think my wife and I would probably go up to San Diego, drive with the top down. And then you can go ahead and borrow the Rolls Royce, since I know you have all these sports cars. It's been a while since you drove in some luxury. Why don't you take the Spectre for a little bit, stroll it back over to Beverly Hills.
How is that even a fair bet, man?
Well,
how's that even a fair wager?
I'm trying to give you something that
That's
you haven't
not even
had
a fair
before.
wage.
You have all of the cars I got. I got an Aventador, and I got a Urus. Those are the two sports cars I'm slanging.
That's
down
not
here.
even a fair wager, man. I mean,
I'm trying to make it fair. What would you like in return?
But
What do you like in return?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What do you think? I think that's pretty fair in the sense that you like comfort. That car is beautiful. It's comfortable. You could take it back, tear it up in Beverly Hills.
It's like a bus, man. It's like driving
really
a
nice.
bus.
It's like a boat. More like a boat.
It's like a bus. You
So
know what I mean?
quiet.
Like you have to have somebody. Does a beep 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 go on when you put it in reverse?
Nah.
You hear that?
Oh, boop,
There's
boop, boop, boop,
beep
boop, boop,
beep
boop, boop,
beep.
boop.
It doesn't do
When
that.
you get close to something?
No, like when you just put it in reverse. Like,
Oh, no,
it
no,
doesn't.
no, no.
beep.
It's
Yeah,
quiet.
no, okay.
Yeah.
Does like a stop sign come out the side?
No.
Like when you put it in reverse? No.
It's a little,
Okay.
little blinker.
I mean, it's like a bus, man.
It's like a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine me driving a Rolls?
I can imagine you being in the back of one like Rick Ross.
No, that's man. Cars are supposed to be fun.
Martin Music.
Cars are supposed to be fun, man.
It's fun when you ball.
How's that not fun?
Because you're looking at the stars and you're like, dang, life is good. Where am I going right now? And you're headed to Javier's.
You look at the
got
stars
your
by
driver
taking the top
driving you.
down. You look at the stars by taking the top down, but it's a Rolls, bro.
Guys,
I tell you what, we'll do this bet.
Yes.
When you get a car, I want to drive.
Oh.
I think you get a car, I want to drive.
Oh, then the next question is then what's the car that you're going to want to drive?
What's Tiburon, Bugatti Tiburon. Oh, no, Tourbillon. Tourbillon. Yeah, Tourbillon.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
Yeah,
those are
get
beautiful.
the Tourbillon. Yeah.
What if I get like a 911 GT3 RS and I just bring it down to you? You're
GT3 RS.
You're in the hills.
Yeah, but
GT2 RS? Is it better than the GT3 RS?
GT2 RS, I haven't driven that.
I don't want you to be embarrassed with my car.
I mean, a GT3 RS is an amazing car, but Porsches, man, is like, it's not even a community. They're like a cult. You know, they're trying to convert you. You know what I mean? It's like,
they are only Porsche.
Yeah, yes, only Porsche. Yeah. So they're those. I don't do cults.
When I get some more money after I sell my first company and I come back and I'm ready to buy my $38.5 million car, Is that when we'll go ahead and play our golf
Oh, yeah.
Guys, it has been absolutely amazing having TJ on the show. TJ, where can everybody follow you at?
TJ Millionaire Mentor on social media, on Instagram. I have a YouTube, but I haven't posted anything on it forever. So, yeah, TJ Millionaire Mentor for sure.
What an incredible show. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for Wealth Made Simple. If you like this episode, we'd like for you to like, comment, subscribe, share this with one person that you feel like would get value out of today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next show.